Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. It's Vertigo here with a new video, my first one in a few weeks. And it's a totally different simulator. I'm sure a lot of you could tell the second you looked at this. This is X-Plane, this is not P3D. So I was deciding to upgrade to a 64-bit platform. I upgraded some hardware on my computer so I could do that, and I broke from the norm and went with X-Plane. People have asked me why. I'm not entirely sure why. I just kind of got a gut feeling, a hunch, and decided to go for it. So a lot is different, and it's taken me a while to get comfortable and up and running. I've done a few streams of X-Plane, but here we are. So I'm going to try and go over what's relevant without taking too long. This is the ZIBO mod, the 737 NGX. We're flying southwest, and we're on the ground at Chicago Midway. We're going to Newark, as in KEWR. Near New York, but not in New York, in New Jersey actually, I think. Newark International. And we're on gate Bravo 9, and I'm actually flying with someone. Let me pan the camera up to show him. Right there, you can see he kind of looks goofy because he's in a different sim, so it doesn't quite match up. That is my friend Soderus. We're flying with him. Well, he's flying with us. We're flying with him, same thing. And it's the early morning here, so the sun is not setting. It's rising over there over the city skyline, which just looks gorgeous, as you can see there. So I hope this all works out well. Again, I haven't recorded, as I'm messing with the camera here. Let me see if I can do this right. Haven't recorded in X-Plane before. Let's see, X-Squawk Box information here. Somebody's on Final in Duo Hair. So, and this is a totally new recording software. I'm not using Fraps anymore. I'm using GeForce Experience. Their overlay recorder, so the audio levels might be off, but hopefully I don't have to throw away the footage. Let me know though if anything is mixed up, and I'll try and correct it. And in terms of the sim, it's crashed on me once, so hopefully that doesn't happen. Obviously if it crashes you won't see this video, but I hope everything goes smoothly. I'm still getting used to stuff, so it might be a little rough around the edges, but I think that's most of what to say. The weather engine is ultra weather. Obviously using X-Squawk to connect to VATSIM, and I'm using FSGRW. I believe that stands for Flight Simulation, or FSGRW. I can't remember. It's a weather engine. The last three for that acronym are Global Real Weather. Flight Sim Global Real Weather, I think. Yeah, that kind of covers it. If there's anything I forgot, I'll put it in the description, or you guys are welcome to ask. There's still some quirks and bugs with X-Plane itself and the weather engine. The weather engines for X-Plane are getting better, but they aren't quite on the level of Active Sky. However, I did hear Active Sky's developing a weather engine for X-Plane, as confirmed by Active Sky themselves, which is awesome. Yeah, let's hop into the flight deck and get started. Alright guys, welcome in the flight deck of the ZIBO. Did a few things. The battery and standby power is already on, so I got the battery here, standby power. Arm the emergency exit lights. We're connected to ground power already. The navigation light is on. We'll throw on the logo light here, and the IRS is up above or in the process of aligning. Now it's going to take quite a while. So I'm going to hop down here to the CDU. I'm going to go advanced, and we can do like a little boarding sound. It doesn't actually board, but it gives a cool little audio effect. So I'm going to turn that on while I talk to you guys. Hopefully it's not too distracting. Yeah, if that gets distracting, I might turn it off. At any rate, let's hop back up to the overhead panel. What can we do up here? We can throw on the window heat right now. The pressurization panel here is fine, or the panel controls. The packs, recircs, and the bleeds are all taken care of. We're going up to flight level 390, so we'll plug that into the pressurization panel. Hop down here to the pedestal. And what's the deal with any ATC, or sorry, any other aircraft? I don't think, yeah, there's no ATC online, so we'll squawk 2200 in IFR for default IFR, and Unicom's already in. We are on VATSIM. I don't think I mentioned that. So let's get right into the CDU and get started here. So we're on the ground at Midway, KMDW. Grab the GPS, align the IRS, like so. And we're going from Midway to Newark, Identifier KEWR. I might have said ERW earlier. That's not right. Runway for departure, I think is going to be 31 center. Let me just refresh the METAR, make sure that's still current. Yeah, winds 250 at 13, so 31 center is our best option. And the flight number is Southwest. This is a real-world flight, 1271. And we can get started on the routing. So, we're going direct, Lukey. From Lukey to a VOR with the identifier GIJ to EVOTE to Nels to Kehoe to join an airway, the J584 to another VOR identifier SLT, and then we go direct to the Williamsport VOR, which has a strange identifier FQM, and then we join the arrival from there. So the departure, I don't know if we have one here. The Midway 3, okay, yeah, this works. And the arrival is the FQM, this is the Williamsport 3, and it looks like we do have the SLT transition. Let me pop open the chart to take a look at that. It's a slate run transition. In terms of landing at Newark, there's currently no wind being reported. We'll tentatively plan on landing on, let's see here. Tentatively plan on, I guess it'll be 2-2 left. But that might change if the winds change. Do we want the patron transition? Let me have a look at the chart. I believe that could actually work, the patron transition. I need to see the angle at which we're coming in. So on the arrival we end up at the Broadway VOR. I'm going to take this for now, but we may end up changing this. So we'll activate that, execute it, make sure everything's good to go. 3-1 center, fly a 318 heading off the runway. And then Midway has some interesting departure procedures. 318 heading to 1500. And then I believe you make a turn. Complete initially assigned turn. So ATC would give you a turn. What I believe we do is we fly 318 till 1500, and then we'll make a right-hand turn to Lukey. From Lukey to our various fixes and en route, and then we join the arrival. I'm going to back it up and go there. And in terms of the arrival itself, it's from Slate Run to Williamsport to Meggs to Hayed. Expect clearance to cross at lowest usable flight level. Okay, we're not too worried about that. Raki at 13,000. Then we go to Pens. Then we go to Sweet at 7,000. And then we can expect Vector. So we actually don't go to the Broadway VOR. That is only a reference there. Okay, cool. So that's taken care of. Our zero fuel weight will autofill. Our fuel in reserve is 3.5. Cost index, we'll use a high number since we're flying Southwest. We'll use 50. Flight level is 390. And this is all fine. Takeoff performance. Let's go ahead and calculate it real quick. I'll need to get some information. So a 1009er is the altimeter. I say that only for the purpose of PFPX, which only takes it in that format. It's 2984 inches of mercury. The wind is 250 at 13, and the temperature is 22. So I'll put that into PFPX and let it spit out a number. Okay, so we're gonna have, well, the OAT will autofill 22, that's correct. Use 37 on the D rate, and then a 22K D rate, and this is with the flap setting of flaps 5. Center of gravity is 24.1, trims 4.51, and our V-speeds autofill like such. And CDU's complete, so I'm gonna go in here, I'm gonna go advanced, I'm gonna go board terminate, and I'm gonna stop that. And let me just make sure the chocks are not in. We don't really need them. Optional accessories, no, that's not it. Visual effects maybe, or config? Chocks off, okay, cool. That's the way we want it. Whoops, okay, there we go. So, CDU preflight's complete. Let's go ahead and get the APU started. And while the APU is coming up, we'll put some information in the MCP, so let's throw the flight directors on. We'll get data up here going on. Put the VOR bugs off, we don't really need them, and we'll do so on the other side as well. Right then. And V2 is 139. Our initial heading is 312. In fact, yeah, let's bug this in for a right hand. Well, I'll leave it at 312. We'll complete the turn on departure, and then top altitude on the departure is maintain 3,000 or lower assigned altitude. 3,000 it is. So we got speed, we got heading, we got our altitude in. Flight directors and VOR bugs are taken care of, and let's just go ahead and set the altimeters real quick. And the altimeter, I think what I said was 2984, yeah. 84, there we go, and I'll set that on the standby as well. We can zoom in here and see it. 2984, and you have to do that on the first officer's side. These do not sync up on their own. 2984. Cool, that's good to go. And I believe the APU has come up. See, yeah, there we go. APU gens are on. I believe we're ready for push and start here in just a moment. So let me pull out my checklist and just go over this real quick. Flight deck doors closed and locked. Fuel. We got fuel on board. Let's open up the rest of the pumps. Anti-collision light on. Passenger signs on. Alright, yeah, we're good to go. I am going to, you guys will see this cool plugin here. It's called Better Pushback, and it allows you to push back however you want. So let me see where we are on the ground. And this will give me an idea rather, where we're going to taxi. So we'll push back with our nose to the right. Let's go back here, I guess. We'll want to join the taxiway. Then we're kind of blocking the runway, which isn't great, but that's fine. Alternatively, yeah, let's do this. I don't know if they'll like this. We'll see how it works. So they'll push us back and then kind of have to push us forward. So as I press enter here, you'll hear the ground crew talk.
All right, Captain, got the directions. Let me know through the menu when you're ready.
There we go. Not the captain, the ground crew. Okay. So let's go ahead and do this. I will tell him that we're ready because we are.
Great news, Captain. Your tow's coming.
Alright, cool. So, packs off. Isolation valve open. APU bleed on. We got the anti-collision light. We got the pumps. We got the belts. And we'll wait for pushback to begin. Now when we taxi out, we're going to taxi along, I believe, Yankee, and make a left on Tango. Kind of pop a Tango, and then take that down to Echo 3 for full length off 3-1 center. Can go ahead and throw the transponder on auto here since we're
All
about to
right.
be,
Looks like the doors and hatches are closed and we're ready to connect.
since we're about to be on a movement area. Let's see. Standby, alt off, alt on. There we go. There goes the jetway. Yeah, the plugin that handles this is called oh boy, AutoGate. That's what it's called. Wait for him to tell him that, wait for him to tell us that he's ready, and then we'll get the parking brake. Can cop a wing view while we're waiting. Looks very nice.
Welcome aboard, Captain. Toes connected, bypass pins inserted. Go ahead and kill the parking brake when you're ready to go.
Alright,
Here comes the pushback. Light 'em up.
brakes off, and we'll start engine number 2. Looking for about 20 N2 here, and then we'll feed in fuel. 20 to 25. Split the difference and go about 22 and a half. There's 22 and a half. Fuel going into engine number 2. N1 rising. EGT rising. N2 rising. Fuel flow increasing. Oil pressure increasing. Beautiful. I can throw the legs here on the right hand side. Alright, we got a good start on number 2. We'll start up number 1. And obviously same procedure. There's the sun rising. And there's Chicago in the distance. N2 rising nicely. We'll feed fuel in. Yeah, they don't really know how to handle this pushback. Oh, here we go. Yeah, they're actually doing a pretty good job of it. Alright, good start on engine number 1 as well. So we'll transfer power to the engine generators. We can get rid of the APU and the bleed. Turn on the engine bleeds. Packs back on so the passengers don't get too hot. Isolation valve to auto. We'll throw on the electric hydraulics and the probe heat. Get the start switches to continuous. Arm the auto throttle. Set flaps for takeoff. There's 1, 2, and 5. Gosh, this lighting looks so nice in this sim. You can see the just along the taxiway here how sharp that looks. And ideally we didn't block the runway. No, we didn't. Beautiful. Somebody could still get off.
Just about done here. Go ahead and set your parking brake.
Alright, we'll set the parking brakes for him, and we'll get
And
the
we're disconnecting the tow. Give me
auto
just a
brake
moment.
to RTO. Let's have a check of the flight controls. So, full up, full down, and neutral. We'll go full left on the aileron, full right, and neutral, and rudder, full left, full right. We're not getting full deflection, but I think that's fine. Alrighty. The before taxi checklist: generators, probe heat, and anti-ice on, and not required. Isolation valve auto. Engine start switches are continuous. Recall, we're standing by in the recall. Oh, the yaw damper. Can't forget the yaw damper. Recall is checked. Auto brake is RTO. Engine start
And we're
levers
disconnected.
are
Signal
idle
pin on the
detent.
left. Take it easy and have a safe flight.
Flight controls, we checked those. The ground equipment's clear. In the before takeoff checklist even, flaps 5, green light, and trim, we should go ahead and set the stabilizer trim. I think we're pretty much there. We have 4.5 units, 4.1. We're sitting, what, just about 4.5. I'll just creep that back slightly. Call the trim set. And I believe we're ready to go. So, let's let's go ahead and get out of here. We do have the transponder on, which is good. I would turn on the terrain radar, or it's not radar, the terrain data. We don't really need it though on this flight, so I'm going to leave that off for now. And we'll get the weather radar. Actually, I don't believe the weather radar functions, so I'm going to leave that off as well. We do have the transponder, as I mentioned. I'm going to throw on just a little bit of panel lighting to make that slightly brighter, like that. And we can go ahead and get out of here. I guess I could put on some panel lighting in the flight deck as well. Whoops. Make it look a little nicer. Add to the ambiance if I could actually click the... There we go. And get the right-hand side as well. And the overhead, because why not? We'll turn these off, obviously, at cruise when it gets a bit brighter outside. Ground power is always connected when the aircraft is stationary, which is actually kind of nice. Right then, let's go ahead and get out there. Before takeoff, we'll need to get the transponder to TARA, get the lights on, and start the clock. Alright guys, so we're just approaching the runway here. We're about ready to go. 3-1 center. Final looks clear. Those buildings look so cool. Those look really nice. Just kind of on the horizon there, on the threshold of the runway. Get the transponder to TARA. Whoops. TARA is on. We should have traffic on the ND, which we do. Beautiful. I'm actually going to real quickly throw data down on the right-hand ND. Alright, transponder, final's clear. We will throw on the lights. Oh, I didn't get the taxi light on for taxi. That's a little bit of a blunder. Not a huge deal though. Lights are on, get the strobe as well. There we go, and we will fire up the clock and get on our way. Oh, a little weather load in, yeah, that's what I mean by the engine not being perfect. And actually, before we roll, there is my friend taxiing on out as well. Right in behind us. Okay, let's do this. Now, I will tell you right now there's a bug with the weather engine. When we break out of these clouds, I shouldn't stay on an active runway too long. When we break out of these clouds, it's going to look like they aren't here. It's a bug with the weather engine. The guy who designed the software, as my camera freaks out, is aware of it. He's working on it. So it looks overcast-ish now, or at least kind of overcast, foggy, cloudy. It'll look sunny when we break through the layer. Try to not let it ruin the immersion too much. 40%. And take off. N1 heading select Toga. Airspeed's alive.
$80 knots.
There's 80. We have thrust hold green. V1.
V1, rotate. Positive rate.
Ooh, that was a little close. Alright, gear up. That was a little close. Should have been probably a little less aggressive with the D rate, but PFPX, I believe it. So we'll fly runway heading here until 1,500 feet. Where we are now at. So 1,500.
1,000.
And let's see, where's our first fix? We did just hit 1,000 feet, so we'll take level change. Gear coming off. Auto brake off. Let's bug up the altitude. Well, we're uncontrolled, so I'm just going to bug it all the way up here. 2390. Let's go 230 for now. I'll adjust that in a minute. I'm going to hand fly the plane a little bit. So Lukey is, yeah, let's go ahead and make this right-hand turn. This point. Direct Lukey. make it a 100 heading. Plug up our speed to flaps 1 speed, which is about 183. Take flaps 1. Keep working on the altitude for now. It's 390. Flaps are up, and we'll go up to flaps up speed. Let me clean up some lights here. And flaps are coming up. Flaps are up. Autopilot's in. And let's go direct Lukey. So come over here to the right hand FMC. We'll proceed direct, and I'm going to go ahead and punch VNav, LNav. Get the start switches off. So the gear's up and off, the auto brake's off, flaps are retracted, start switches are off, and let's see here, collision light, yeah, strobe, logo, those don't need to be on, and our lights are cleaned up. We just need to get the landing lights at 10,000 feet, the remainder of them, and we'll be good to go. And look at that, there's Chicago. And I assume they have those strobes on the top of the building so that you don't hit them. Like, hey, there's tall buildings here, don't fly into us. Would make sense. Let's get a wing view of that real quick. That looks spectacular. Holy smokes. Cool stuff. Right, guys, bring it on up to cruise 390, and we'll check in before the descent to let you guys know what the plan is going into Newark. Alright guys, welcome back into the flight deck. So you can see we're about 80 miles out from our top of descent, a little less than 80 miles. So we're going to go ahead and get prepped for that descent at this point. Go through the steps that we need to. So first things first, let's just reset the MCP altitude. Now on this arrival we can go down, initially we go down to 13,000 and then 7,000. So I'm going to set this initially for 13, we'll bug it down to 7 when the time comes. So let's bug this down to 13,000, takes a minute to get there. There's 18 and 13. Okay, so the MCP altitude's reset. Now we can get the pressurization panel on the overhead. Oh, well, we need a little bit of panel lighting now, don't we? Don't want to turn that all the way off. Right, so the pressurization panel, we just need to set the landing altitude. And the landing altitude is, let's have a look here, about 11:17. That rounds down to 0. So the landing altitude's already fine. We don't need to set this. In terms of the ILS frequency and course, we can hop down here now. Let's check the weather. Wind is now 270 at 4. Perfect. So that actually suits 22 left. So I'll keep the chart for 22 left open. Let's have a look actually real quick, see if there's any control online in New York. I can't imagine there is. No, there isn't. We'll be uncontrolled on VATSIM. It is really late here. It's like 4 in the morning on the East Coast. My sleep schedule's not great. Anyway, 22 left. So the frequency is 108.7. Set this on each side. .7, there we go, and the inbound course is, scroll on up, 219er. Set that as well. And on the right hand side. 219, beautiful, and look at those clouds, they look nice. At any rate, ILS frequency and course is in. We'll set the auto brake. We have 8,000 feet of runway. We'll take an auto brake of 1. We can actually afford to roll pretty far. The further we roll, the shorter of a taxi we're going to have. So, auto brake of 1. And our minimums, I don't believe there's any weather that would prevent us from doing, no, we don't need a categorized approach, so go with the standard minimums. 211 on the barometric altimeter. So we'll bug that on up. You can see we're really moving along. We got a 73 knot tailwind. Our ground speed's over 500 knots across the ground. Only been in the air for an hour and we're about to start down. That's pretty nice. Minimums are set, and then in terms of the approach, we'll step through that in just a moment. Let's first calculate our landing speed. So we have 7.7 on board. We're going to lose about 1,500 pounds at Newark. So I'm going to call this 122.1. Let's try that again. 0.1. Gives us flaps 30 with a landing speed of 136 knots. Perfect. And then in terms of this approach, the arrival and the approach, let me throw down the yoke so we can see this. Wouldn't it be nice if actual pilots could just make that thing disappear when they needed to? Right, so looking at the legs page here, let's go ahead and step on through. We need to go plan mode. There we are. So, step on through the arrival here, and what we're really looking for is the transition onto the approach. So, right, so you can see the transition is out there, so we could turn left and join the transition. Now I'm actually going to go in here, and I had mentioned when we did the arrival we might not need that transition. Let's see if I can find 22 left. ILS. 22 left. And we're going to go without the patron transition. Now let's see how that affects things. Great, perfect. And then what we should see is we should not see that transition, right? It doesn't affect things too much. We're going to have to fly kind of towards the airport, and then I think we'll make a left-hand turn for a downwind and come in here. I suppose I just took it away, but let's go ahead and put the transition back in. I don't see much of a reason not to. At the same time, I guess don't see much of a reason to. Yeah, we're gonna go without it. I'm kind of indecisive and all over the place, but we don't need it because the arrival we're on does not include that fix. so we don't need to worry about it. So the camera freaks out. Right, so we got 20 miles till top of descent, not long to go at all, and we'll be starting down here shortly, so I'll fire up the passenger signs, tell everybody to sit down in a bit, and yeah, I'll see you guys as we're getting ready for the approach. Enjoy the views on the way down. Alright guys, welcome back. As FO says, 1,000 to go. So we're just coming up here. You can see we're flying perpendicular to the runway, and we're going to start a left-hand turn here to our downwind leg. I've been kind of managing the aircraft on the way down as best as I can. So let's go left 040 here. We have our landing lights on. I got those on a bit late at 7,000 feet, and I was talking to a friend and came back into the flight deck. We descended below 10,000, so I threw those on at 7,000. We got the altimeter set to the local setting at Newark. It's 2972, set on both sides and the standby. And yeah, we're coming on down here, so I'm actually going to take flaps 1 at this point. I'm going to put the spoiler away because we no longer need it. And we'll level off at 5,000 here, and then we're going to keep it going down. Let's go bring it on down to, see, we need to be, I believe, 2,500 at, or 1,500 at Buzzard, 2,500 at Gimme. Let's drop it down to 3,000. And in fact, we can shallow out that rate of descent to about, we'll need a little bit. Let's go about 5 degrees left, because you can see that crosswind is pushing us into the runway a bit, so we'll just take it 5 degrees to the left and correct there a bit. Hey, 750 feet per minute should do the trick. We'll throw the engine start switches to continuous, if I can get the click spot, kind of tricky. Here's New York with all those houses. We'll peek the wing view real quick. Yeah, oh my. And there's Newark actually, right there. You can see the runway. And in fact, if we hop back in the flight deck and look there, we should be able to see Manhattan. It's like out that way. Yeah, there it is. As I zoom in, it pops in. keep the speed here at 210, and then as we're about adjacent with Buzzard, I'm going to drop the speed down to 180. And so I was in the descent, actually. My friend who's flying with me, like, got right on top of me. He's going much faster than I was. And he had to, like, just left orbit to avoid me. It was kind of cute. I say cute ironically. It was borderline terrifying. And that wind's dying down, so it's taking it a few degrees back to the right. Just trying to stay as parallel to the runway as we can. Or to the ILS approach course, I suppose you could say. I'm going to just drop it down to about 2,800 feet here. There's the ILS coming in. Perfect. We'll drop the speed down to 180. And we can take flaps 5 here to get a little bit of extra drag. Speed's a little bit high for flaps 5, but it should be no problem. And that'll help us drop that speed just a touch. Shallow out our VS here, and I'm going to turn us to base. 130 heading. As we roll out, we'll just immediately turn to final. In fact, we can just kind of keep it coming around. So we go level at 2,500 to intercept at Gimme. And the inbound course is 219, so let's get a good
2,500.
There's the ground proximity warning system, GPWS. 20-degree intercept heading should be fine. The only issue with getting level here at 2,500 before we're on the glide slope is that it, let me grab the localizer, is that it makes you work a little bit harder on the engines, but that's not a terribly big deal. Alright, we got the localizer. We're going to overshoot it a bit, but we'll be able to get back on there. And there, I believe that's my friend. You can see him there on the TCAS. He's 1,800 feet above us, 1,700 feet, and he appears to be on the downwind leg, so he'll be coming in just behind us. Alright, there we come in. Yeah, definitely overshot the localizer a bit, but we got it now. And I'll punch approach.
2,500.
Drop the speed down to 167. There's New York, New York. Oh man, let's get this wing view here. Oh my, that's nice. That's too cool. Let's see if we can see my friend here off this wing. No, not quite so much. But perhaps here? Shouldn't be too difficult to spot him. I do need to pay attention to the aircraft. Let's drop the gear. Arm the spoilers. Not sure why I can't see him. He should be just out here. Anyway, gears down, spoilers are armed, and flaps 15. And we will in just a moment here drop down to final approach speed, which is 137 even. And the winds here at Newark reporting 270 at 4. So we'll just add 5 knots to that 137 rather, call it 142. Throw on our lights. think you can just see down there on the ground a police car. Yeah, we can. Do you see him there? There he goes. And we'll take flaps 30. Missed approach altitude is... well, it's a climbing right turn, and it's to 3,000 feet. Okay, great. Gears down, spoilers are armed. Start switches are continuous. We have flaps 30 out, we have a go-around altitude, landing speed, and lights are on.
1,000.
There's 1,000 feet.
1,000 feet stabilized, Mr.
And I'll take control of the aircraft. Now, I haven't flown X-Plane too much. It's a totally different beast than P3D, so hopefully this I land it decently. We'll see how I do. So, wish me luck, I suppose. And we'll take the auto throttle out as well. So I have control.
$500.
Police cars everywhere. Lots of people speeding today.
$400. $300. $200. Minimums. 100.
There's the middle marker, or
50.
not sure if that's
40.
the middle marker.
30. 20. 10.
Ooh, yeah, that was a pretty firm one. I tried to get into a bit of a flare there. Apparently not enough of one. But not the end of the world, I guess. There, we're through 80 knots. And there's 60. Manually braking, and we'll keep rolling on down. To the this last exit on the right here.
We'll be taxiing for the next few minutes, so please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened and all items stowed until the seatbelt sign is turned off. Please make sure you have all your personal belongings before you exit the aircraft.
And we're off
Be
to the
careful
right
when
at,
opening the
I
overhead
believe this is
compartment.
November.
You're now free to use your mobile phones and small lightweight
So what we're going to
devices.
do is we're going to taxi
Thank you for
along
flying with us
November,
today.
cross
We hope you
the
had a
parallel
pleasant
runway.
experience, and we look forward to welcoming you again.
We'll go
on Midway.
November to Alpha onto the terminal, and I think we'll enter at Alpha. So I'll get the aircraft cleaned up, and I'll see you guys at the gate. Alright guys, welcome to Newark. That was a fun flight. I really enjoy X-Planes so far. I'm still like sort of hesitating on going all in terms of like getting add-ons. I have bought some, but buying more till I'm totally committed, but I am enjoying it. I don't want to say more than P3D. They're both simulators. They're both kind of, you know, at the fundament the same thing, but the performance is so much better than Prepared, and I have now, in fairness to Prepared, I've never used V4, so I cannot speak to it. But just my frame rate coming in on final into Newark, that's generally cripples my frame rate, and it's fine. Occasionally it gets a little bogged down with my graphics card. I'm not entirely sure why, but it's just really much better. But I don't want to ramble on about that. I should give Prepared V4 a fair shot. I'm not sure if I will, though, as much as I'm enjoying X-Plane. Yeah, it was a fun flight. A bit of a firm landing. We'll work on those. Hopefully the next flight's better. And I'll see about featuring some different aircraft. There's the Flight Factor 757, 767, and the A320, which has been just raved about. And then there's the Rotate MD-80. I think this kind of wraps it up, though, as you see my friend Soderus here, the other gate. He's floating in the air, scenery mismatch. But, yeah, if you guys have any questions about anything specific, comments, feedback, always welcome. Shameless self-plug. Obviously, in the description of the video, there's like social media links, and I do stream on Twitch, so if that's something that interests you, it would be worth checking out. You could see the jetway doesn't come over, unfortunately. For the sceneries that have autogate, this would come over. Obviously, it hasn't been implemented. I might be able to do that myself, go in there and hack up the code a bit and find a way to get autogate to recognize this. I'd be curious about that, but yeah. You could also get JAR has ground services where you can open these doors and have like stuff right up to them, which would be kind of neat. Anyway, I don't want to ramble on too much. I hope you guys enjoyed the flight, and I will see you next time. If you have any requests for a flight to do, let me know. I am so much more open in terms of where I can fly. This is the last thing I want to say, because there's just a vast quantity of freeware for X-Plane, and it's very high quality. So this airport and Midway that you saw, completely free, done by other X-Plane flyers. So it used to be in Prepared, I was kind of limited to, I could fly where there was high quality scenery because the default scenery was just really poor. Whereas the default scenery in X-Plane is better. There's enhancements. There's an enhancement pack for default airports, which I've installed. And then, of course, there's just more freeware. So if you have requests, I'll be it's not that I didn't listen to them before, but it was hard to fulfill some of them. Please, you know, get at me with those. It's much easier. But I'll wrap it up here, guys. I'll see you next time. So long.